What's going on, guys? My name is Christopher, and today I'm going to give you some more tips on how to improve in Mania. This video is a follow-up to my previous video on how to improve in Mania, so if you haven't seen that one yet, please do go check that one out first. Hope you guys enjoy this video, and let's get started. So my first tip is more aimed at newer players, generally playing in the 1 to 2 star range, but I have seen higher ranked players also have problems with this, and that is to not play converted maps. A converted map is a map that comes from another game mode such as Osu Standard and is automatically converted by the game into a mania map. Now the problem with these types of maps is that the patterning is often very sporadic and random, and it doesn't usually make a whole lot of sense. Oftentimes it'll have a lot of strange one-hand trilling, and the doubles and triples seem like they're just randomly placed. They don't quite follow the music in the same way that actual mania maps do, so I'd highly recommend to just stay away from these converted maps entirely. Now you can hide all of these converted maps in a couple ways. One way to do it is by going to the Group By section at the top, selecting By Mode, and then selecting the Osu Mania section. But the way that I like to do it is to just type in mode equals M into the search bar, and that will do the same thing. While I'm on the topic of search terms, I'll just go over those really quick as well. A couple examples of search terms are stars greater than or less than a number. So for example, stars greater than 3 will give you maps over 3 stars. You can also use keys equals 4 or keys equals 7 or whatever number you'd like to give you only maps in a certain key mode. And finally, another common one is status equals R to give you only ranked maps. Now I've been talking about what maps not to play, but now I'll show you how to get maps that you should be playing. Now the most obvious thing would just be to download all of the ranked and loved maps. So you would come over here to the Beatmap listing page, sort by Osu Mania only, and turn on Has Leaderboard, and that will give you all of the ranked and loved maps. Now there's a couple problems with this. For one, you might only play a certain key mode, such as 4 key, so if you download everything, then you'll be downloading a lot of 7 key and 6 key and just other keys that you don't play, and you might also be downloading some maps that are outside of your skill level that you won't be able to play anytime soon. There's actually a trick with this Beatmap page. We can actually use those same search terms I talked about earlier on this Beatmap page, so you can get maps that you can actually play. For example, if I'm a player who's just starting out and I can only play 4 key, I can type in keys equals 4 and stars less than 3, and I'll only get maps that are 1 to 2 stars that only have 4 key. So that's a great way to get started with maps. There is one more thing though that I would recommend to do. So if you get done playing a map and you feel like it was a really fun map and it's one of your favorite maps to play, then I would actually recommend going over to the Beatmap creator's profile and seeing what other maps that they've uploaded and downloading those as well. I also have a list of my favorite mappers on my Osu profile, which I'll link in the description of this video. Now moving along from that, the next thing I want to talk about is the warm-up at the start of your session. So one thing that I see people do is they start up Osu, they're super eager to beat all their top plays and just all around have a good session, and then they play a couple songs and they feel that they're not playing so well and they just immediately quit for the day. Now this is the wrong thing to do. Every player needs to warm up at the beginning of their session. Sometimes it might take you 5 minutes, sometimes it might take you an hour, but you do need to recognize when you're still in that warm-up phase and that you're not playing to your fullest potential yet. And to be honest, some days are just better than others, but it is still super important to give your warm-up a fair shot and not just immediately rage quit after a couple songs. Now, I do want to quickly go over something that sometimes gets overlooked when new players are starting Osu Mania, and that is where to look on the screen while you're playing a song. Now, this can vary a bit based on what your scroll speed is. For example, if you use like 32 scroll speed, you might look a bit higher than somebody using 26 scroll speed, for example. But the main thing I want to actually stress here is to not look at the bottom of the screen while you play. I notice some new players stare at the judgment line or the receptors while they play, and then they can't increase their scroll speed because they can't react fast enough. This is a very easy fix, and it's just simply because they're looking in the wrong spot. Generally, you want to look around the middle of the screen while you play. It does vary a little bit, like I was saying. Some players look a bit above the middle, some players look a little below the middle, but you just don't want to be looking at the bottom, as I was saying. The next thing I want to go over is a pretty quick and simple one, but I've seen a lot of players have this problem and it just really slows down their improvement, and that is to not pause while you play. Now Etienne has a whole video on why pausing is detrimental, so I won't go over it a whole lot here, but just to put it simply, it slows the building of stamina and also hurts your ability to play under pressure. If you are experiencing any pain while you play and you feel that you need to pause to alleviate some of that pain, then you're probably playing maps that are a bit too far outside of your skill level, and you should play something a bit easier in order to build the stamina so that you can play those maps later. Now, I've been talking about why you shouldn't pause, but allow me to pause here for just a moment just to say that 96% of my viewers are not subscribed, so if you do enjoy this content, please do consider subscribing as it really does help me out a lot. Now, in the second half of this video, I do want to go over some resources that you could use to improve that I also use myself to improve. The first one I want to go over is a really good accuracy guide made by the player Zenith. It has some really good tips on how to adjust your skin, the offsets, where you should be looking while you play, and Zenith is a really well-known accuracy player, so you know that you're getting good information. I'll link this guide in the video description below if you want to take a look at it. The next resource I want to go over is a program called Osu Trainer. This is a program that was created by the player FunOrange, and it easily allows you to speed up and slow down a map exactly how you need it, as using double time only allows you to speed it up to 1.5 times speed, and half time is 0.75 times speed. So with this program, I can take any map and adjust it to whatever speed I like, such as 1.1 times speed, 1.2 times speed, or I can slow it down to 0.9 speed. And also if you wanted to, you can adjust the HP and OD of each map to be easier or harder depending on your needs. This next resource is solely for the sake of ranking up, so it might not be the most useful thing for improvement, but I used it a lot when I was getting into Osu, so you might like it as well. It's this website that shows you the most overweighted maps for ranking up. You can adjust the star rating and the key count and sort it however you'd like. Farming tends to get a lot of hate in Osu, but I see it as pretty useful when you're trying to improve, as it does give you those harder sections but in more manageable chunks. So let's say if you're trying to get into playing 5-star maps, instead of playing these really difficult 5-star maps that are just difficult the entire time, you can instead play some of these overweighted maps to be slowly introduced to these types of patterns and gain some ranks along the way. The last resource I want to provide is something I created myself, and it is a website for improvement batches. So these are sets of about 20 songs per batch that I picked myself, gradually increasing in difficulty. They're sort of like the Dan courses, but instead of just 4 maps, there's about 20 maps per batch. The easiest batch, which is batch 1, has maps that are 2 stars in difficulty, and the hardest batch, which is batch 10, has maps that are around 5 to 6 stars. For comparison, batch 10 is around Dan 9, Dan 10 level. And the rules are similar in that you must get an S on each song in a batch before progressing on to the next level. Although of course these are for your own personal use, so you can use these however you see fit. And that pretty much wraps it up. I do want to give you one last tip though on how to approach this game, and that tip is to don't always expect your best play. You're not always going to be playing at your best level, you're not always going to have a skill boost day, so just play the game and just enjoy your time playing it. If you did enjoy this video, I'd really appreciate you giving it a thumbs up. It does help out with the YouTube algorithm, and I hope that these tips were useful to you. If you have any additional tips, feel free to leave a comment down below so that other people can learn from it, and I'll see you all in the next video. Thanks for watching.